Hello, vinyl lovers, and welcome to a special episode of Groovescape, your favorite vinyl and music review podcast. I'm Josh Greenberg, and this episode was recorded live in front of just my dog Bowie at my home studio in Ottawa, Canada. Now, those of you who are lucky enough to have visited Amoeba Records knows the vastness of its inventory. On my last trip to LA, during a break in meetings along Sunset, I decided to just pop into Amoeba to browse, to see if maybe I could find a lost vinyl treasure to bring home. Now, if you've been there, you know it's a massive building. It's a huge store. Aside from the impressive inventory of music available on all formats, but in particular, absolutely massive inventory of vinyl, there are DVDs, books, posters, and lots of other music merchandise. It's also a great spot to get lucky and hope for a celebrity sighting. A friend of mine told me that he was there one time and saw Duran Duran shooting an episode of the shop's popular What's in My Bag series. This series features interviews with celebrities, oftentimes musicians, sometimes movie stars, shopping through Amoeba's inventory, browsing, and then talking about which albums, books, or movies they've selected. It's entertaining. It's a great way to trace your favorite artist's musical influences, and those can sometimes be really interesting and surprising. Now, in the spirit of totally ripping off Amoeba's What's in My Bag series, I thought it might be fun to recast this idea. And so today is going to be the first installment of Groovescape's What's on My Turntable series, where I'll tell you a little bit about albums I just can't get enough of these days. Some of them will be new albums that I'm just listening to very recently. Others are older that I've listened to over and over and over again. Now, I usually have a pretty eclectic mix or selection of LPs near my turntable. And I'll listen to them for any number of reasons. As background music while I work, to accompany a nice glass of scotch in the evening as I'm winding down, to blow off steam if I'm angry or upset about something, or for any number of other reasons. Now, sometimes I'll listen to something over and over and over again. I just can't get enough of the song's melody or chorus. Or I'll listen to an album because I caught reference to it in music news and thought it might be intriguing, and then I get hooked. Perhaps there's because of an earworm. I heard a song on the radio, or because someone I know was telling me how much they like a particular song or album. So with that in mind, I thought I would give you kind of a tour of the 5 albums I just can't stop listening to this week. So to top it off, number 1, we have Kid A by Radiohead. So first, happy 20th anniversary to this day of this fucking fantastic monumental album. This is a great record. I have, as you can see, a 10-inch copy of the vinyl. This was one of the first albums that I bought when I started collecting records again a little over a decade ago. And Kid A is just a massive album, followed in the wake of OK Computer, which set a huge standard not just for Radiohead, but for the entire music industry. It was one of those albums. Kid A was just a huge follow-up. It found the band pushing the envelope of its sound even further away from the verse-chorus-verse structure that defined earlier albums like Pablo Honey and the Bends, breakout sophomore albums, huge with huge hits, big industry albums. They were widely celebrated, still terrific records. But Kid A saw Radiohead pushing even deeper into electronic and avant-garde jazz. This is, let's see, what song are we going to listen to? This is the national anthem, which is just a great song. The bass line is absolutely killer. If you don't recognize the song by name, you will absolutely recognize it when the needle drops and hits the groove. This is National Anthem by Radiohead. had to wait until Tom's vocal track hit because that song still, to this day, 20 years after hearing it for the first time, gives me the absolute chills. That was National Anthem off of Radiohead's landmark LP, Kid A, released 20 years ago today. The second album that I want to share that I've been listening to, I think literally nonstop for 6-7 months, is The Slow Rush by Tame Impala. I think, like I said, I've probably listened to this record in whole or part, I don't know, a couple hundred times since it was released earlier this year. This is Tame Impala's fourth album, following on the massive success of Currents, which made it almost onto every music industry top 10 list the year of its release in 2015. Before Currents was Lonerism, also an award-winning album released in 2012, and Tame Impala's debut, Inner Speaker, which dropped in 2010. The Slow Rush is, I think, by far the slickest of the four in its production standards. It's super lush. It's warm. Every song is loaded with texture. You hear something different every time you listen to it. And I love albums. I love songs and albums like that that reward repeat listening. I have this album is available in standard black, and then of course a number of different colored pressings on the indie versions. I have here, as you can see, the forest green. It's also available in a red and blue, which is a bit rarer. I have a copy that's still wrapped in cellophane. I can't bring myself to rip it open. Now, the album, what I like about this album, it sounds both contemporary, but also clearly draws on the 70s rock bands like Supertramp. That were a huge influence for Kevin Parker. Kevin Parker is the multi-instrumentalist who writes, performs, records, engineers, and produces all of Tame Impala's music. He identifies Supertramp as among his biggest musical influences. The Slow Rush is a double LP, and I'm going to play for you the opening track. This is called One More Year. So that is One More Year, lead song on Tame Impala's fourth album, which was released earlier this year. The album is called The Slow Rush. Now, the third album I've been listening to nonstop over the last probably 2 weeks almost is My Morning Jacket, the Waterfall 2. which was also recently released. This one, I think, came out in September. This is the follow-up to my Morning Jackets 2015 album by the same name, also called The Waterfall. This is The Waterfall 2. Clearly, there was enough material from those earlier recording sessions during the production of that album that the band was able to release more music. I don't have the first one, and I don't know it that well, to be honest. But it must be great if these are the leftover tracks, if these are the songs that didn't make that initial cut. Well, the sounds and influences on this album are kind of a little eclectic, a bit all over the place. There's psych rock, country rock, arena rock, some other disparate influences and sounds. Now, I don't say that as a criticism because I personally like a lot of variety in my music. You can see if you're looking at the vinyl itself, it's finished in a really nice kind of eggplant. It's a bit translucent, kind of almost see right through it. And the sound quality is terrific as well. So again, the album doesn't have like a coherent aesthetic or a consistent kind of sound. Every song is a little bit different, and I really like that. This is the lead track on side B. It's called Magic Bullet. This is my favorite on the album. And it's fairly standard and gets really, really trippy and jammy. Have a listen and let me know what you think. So that is Magic Bullet, lead song on side B of my Morning Jackets' newest album, Waterfall 2. The fourth record I want to play you, or tell you a little bit about, goes back. So we've started in the year 2000. We jumped ahead to 2020. Now we're going to go back in time again to the 1970s. And the album I want to share with you now is Merle Saunders. This is a live LP. Merle Saunders, Jerry Garcia, John Conn, and Bill Vitt live at Keystone. This album was recorded in July of 1973. I used to own the CD. I listened to it all the time when I was in high school and university. This is a great album. Features some material, original material by Merle Saunders and Jerry Garcia. Garcia, of course, lead singer or lead guitarist and singer of the Grateful Dead. Garcia and Saunders played live a lot. I mean, they toured and played live together a lot in between Grateful Dead tours. Now, this ad hoc configuration on this album with John Conn and Bill Vitt, who were connected to Saunders and Garcia over the years, was not the regular lineup that was featured in the Jerry Garcia band, which was Garcia's more stable, non-dead recording and touring outfit. This album has a terrific combination of rock, jazz, R&B, features tons of spacey jams, covers of established rock and pop songs, including Bob Dylan's Positively 4th Street, and It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry. Really nice cover of the Jimmy Cliff song, The Harder They Come. The album's killer opening track, which is called Finders Keepers, is the one that I want to play for you, and it absolutely sizzles. Have a listen. I would totally love to play that whole song, but we'll be here a while if I do. It just goes on, and the jams are just, oh, fuck, that's so good. That again is Merle Saunders, Jerry Garcia, John Conn, and Bill Vitt live at the Keystone in 1973. We come down now to the fifth album that I've just been listening to a lot. I'm gonna shift genres here. Is by the Chats. The album is called High Risk Behavior. High Risk Behavior is the debut studio album of the Chats. The Chats are an Australian punk rock band that's already making a big name for itself, touring with Queens of the Stone Age and Iggy Pop. Dave Grohl's a big fan. I picked up my copy of this album from Vertigo Records here in Ottawa, and I remember when it came in. The album came in, and they ordered 2 lots, if I'm not mistaken, 2 different pressings. The album came in yellow, or in this really cool looking blue and black kind of splatter tie-dye like design. Obviously, I really like the blue one, but both pressings sold out really, really quickly. The Chats are getting a lot of industry attention, and this is really a great album. Let's see, like if you like Sex Pistols, if you like power pop punk, Green Day, Buzzcocks, or the Lillingtons, I think that you're really gonna like the Chats. The songs are short, they're fast, they're hilarious. This first one is called Stinker.
heat up here. We just learn to put up with it. We don't get used to the heat up here. We learn to fucking live with it. Sun is out, it's a beautiful day. Watching the sweat dripping off on my face. It's a stinker, the sort of heat you can taste. Wake up in the elbow to a kick in the face. There's piss, shit and blood all over the place. It's a pigsty, it's a bloody disgrace. We don't get used to the heat up here.
Lots of fun, that band, and I really like this album. So that does it for this special episode of Groovescape. I hope you enjoyed What's on My Turntable. I imagine by next week I will have been obsessing over 5 other albums, and I'll be happy to tell you all about them in due course. I hope you like this episode. Please leave some comments. Tell me which albums or songs you can't get enough of. And maybe you can pop an earworm into my head. That's it for me. Hope you enjoyed. Take care. Have a great weekend.
We're gonna fucking live with it.